I was sitting on my couch in old sweatpants, scrolling through my phone when I saw it. My brother's engagement party. Correction, my brother's massive engagement party. The photos were everywhere. Big smiles, glittering lights. A ballroom strung with fairy lights and white roses. My parents in their best clothes. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in months. Holding champagne glasses. My brother grinning next to his fiancée, Sarah, like they were already royalty. I blinked and blinked again, because just a few days ago, when I'd asked my dad what the family was planning this weekend, he'd said it was just a small reunion, nothing formal, nothing worth flying out for. "You've got a lot going on," he added, like he was doing me a favor by keeping me out of the loop. I'd believed him, like an idiot I believed him. I stared at the photos, feeling a numb kind of ache settle in my chest. I zoomed in, I checked again. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like, but it was. It was exactly what it looked like. A full-blown engagement celebration. And I hadn't even been invited. My brother and I weren't super close. We weren't the type to call every week or tag each other in memes. But we weren't fighting. We never had some huge blow-up or dramatic falling out. There was no real reason to leave me out of something this important, something so defining in his life. And yet, I was nowhere in that story. I put my phone down, hands shaking slightly. I tried to tell myself it didn't matter. It was just a party. But that's the lie people tell themselves to avoid facing the truth. The truth was, I felt humiliated, and worse, caught in. It wasn't just being left out. It was the casual way they'd done it. Like I was a footnote, not family. Like I'd be fine with some vague excuse and a fake smile later. I thought about calling my dad. I wanted to ask him why. I wanted to hear him say it, to tell me out loud that I wasn't wanted there. But I knew exactly how that would go. He'd downplay it. He'd tell me I was reading too much into things. He'd act like I was the one making it weird. No thanks. Instead, I sat in silence, surrounded by the kind of quiet that feels heavier than any noise. I looked around my apartment. No decorations, no music. No one waiting to toast me or take my picture. And something inside me started to burn. Not the kind of fire that lashes out, but the kind that makes you move. I wasn't going to sit there and feel sorry for myself, not this time. I opened my laptop and booked a last-minute trip to a ski resort 2 states away. I didn't even care where. I just needed to be somewhere that wasn't here, not staring at Instagram photos of people who'd decided I didn't belong. That night, as I packed my bag, I kept thinking, they chose to leave me out, but I get to choose what to do with that. And I chose me. The ski resort sat nestled between snow-capped peaks, like a secret world untouched by the messiness of mine. It was quiet, cold, clean. A place where no one knew my name or asked why I looked like someone who'd just been cut out of a family portrait. I arrived late Friday night. The air bit at my cheeks as I stepped out of the shuttle, but it felt good, sharp, alive. Something about it reminded me that I still existed, that I still had a body, a heart, and breath in my lungs, no matter who decided I didn't belong. The next morning, I layered up in ski gear, pulled my beanie low over my ears, and headed for the slopes. I wasn't a great skier. I didn't come to break records or find enlightenment on a mountaintop. I came because I needed to be somewhere else, somewhere that didn't smell like guilt or feel like walking on eggshells, or echo with the sound of everyone laughing in a room I was never invited into. The wind screamed as I zipped down the first trail, not gracefully, but fast enough to make my legs tremble. I let it carry me, let the cold sting my face and numb my fingers, let it wipe clean the ache in my chest, even if just for a minute, and it helped. Somewhere between the speed, the snow, and the silence, I stopped feeling like a castaway. I stopped replaying that moment I saw the party pictures. Stopped wondering if my brother had hesitated before crossing my name off the list. I stopped giving them all that power. At the top of the last slope before heading in, I paused. The sky had turned a pale orange behind the mountains, the kind of light that makes even the loneliest place look like it was painted with purpose. I pulled out my phone, snapped a selfie, just me, helmet and goggles, flushed cheeks, the vast white world behind me. Then I posted it, caption, "Hope everyone's having as much fun as I am." No emojis, no tags, just that. I didn't post it out of spite. Not exactly. I posted it because I was tired of being quiet, of always taking the high road, of swallowing pain so others wouldn't feel uncomfortable. This was my soft rebellion, a photo, a sentence, a statement that whispered, "I see you, and now you're going to see me too." I set my phone to silent and tucked it back into my jacket. Then I let the mountain take me one more time. For the first time in days, I smiled without effort. They could keep their party. I was reclaiming my peace. I didn't expect the post to explode. I thought maybe a few friends would like it. Maybe an old college roommate would comment with a "looks fun" and move on. That's all I wanted. A sliver of control. Something to remind me I still existed outside of the role they assigned me. But by the time I got back to the lodge and peeled off my boots, my phone was a wildfire. 13 missed calls. Dad, Mom, my brother, Aunt Lisa, Cousin Mark. Then came the texts. Dad, call me now. Mom, what's going on? Why would you post that? Uncle Josh, you okay? Why weren't you at the party? My brother, seriously? I sat on the edge of the bed, still in my ski pants, my hair damp from snow. My fingers hovered over the screen as notification after notification rolled in like crashing waves. I didn't open any of them. I just stared, half fascinated, half numb. They were freaking out, and it had nothing to do with me being okay. It had everything to do with being exposed. I finally opened the message from my mom. "We need to talk. Please call me." There was something about the word "please" that felt manipulative. Not soft, not kind, strategic, like she suddenly realized the optics had shifted, and the person they'd ghosted had a voice. Still, curiosity got the best of me. I called her. She answered on the first ring. "Why would you post that?" she said, voice sharp with urgency. I blinked. No hello. No "are you okay?" I stayed calm. "What do you mean? I went on a trip, just enjoying myself. You made it look like you were excluded. Now people are asking why you weren't at the party." I let out a quiet, bitter laugh. Maybe because I was excluded. There was a long silence, the kind that comes when someone's been caught, but hasn't figured out how to spin it yet. "It wasn't like that," she said finally. We didn't think you'd want to come." I closed my eyes. "What makes you think that?" She hesitated. I could hear her breathing, like she was walking a tightrope of excuses. "Your brother thought it would be better this way. He didn't want any tension." My stomach twisted. "Tension?" I asked. "What tension?" Another pause, then a reluctant confession. "Sarah didn't feel comfortable inviting you." There it was. The real reason, not schedules, not space, not an oversight, just rejection dressed in diplomacy. My jaw clenched. So because your future daughter-in-law is uncomfortable, I get erased? She thinks you're unpredictable. You speak your mind. And we didn't want drama at the party. My voice dropped, calm, cutting. You didn't want me at the party. Please, she whispered. Can you just take the post down? People are starting to talk. That was it. That was the truth she couldn't hide anymore. They weren't upset because they hurt me. They were upset because someone might find out. No, I said firmly. I'm not taking it down. And I hung up. The phone rang again immediately, this time my brother. I let it ring. Twice. 3 times. I finally answered. What do you want? I asked, my voice sharper than I intended. He sighed, already on the defensive. Can we talk like adults? I didn't say anything. He went on. Look, it's complicated. No, I cut in. Make it simple. Silence. Then, Sarah didn't want you there. I laughed, but it came out more like a choke. Wasoy. She just thinks you're too intense. She didn't want tension. Right, I said coldly, because speaking the truth is so inconvenient. Come on, he said. It's not like we hate you. You just don't want me around. It was just easier this way. I felt like the ground cracked under me. Easier for who? I asked, because it sure as hell wasn't easier for me. He didn't answer. I hope the pictures were worth it, I said. I hope the perfect night was everything you wanted. And then I hung up. I sat on the bed for a long time after that, staring at nothing, their voices still ringing in my ears. They had chosen to exclude me, and now they were desperate to control the story. Not because they loved me, but because they were afraid people would see who they really were. I wasn't going to let them control the story this time. I stared at my phone for a long time after hanging up on my brother. The screen glowed in the dark, lighting up my face like I was standing in front of a crowd. My thumb hovered over the Create Post button. My heart thudded. I wasn't someone who shared personal drama online. I wasn't the air your family's dirty laundry on social media type. But silence hadn't protected me. Silence had allowed them to erase me quietly. Not this time. I took a deep breath, then started to type, slowly at first, then with growing certainty. Since so many people are suddenly remembering I exist, let me clear things up. I wasn't busy. I wasn't out of town. I wasn't too independent to care about my own brother's engagement. I wasn't invited. And now, instead of apologizing, my family is asking me to stay quiet, so no one finds out. Well, now you know. No hashtags, no filters, no emojis. Just the truth. I hit post, and then I turned off my phone. It took less than an hour for the storm to begin. I checked back in later that evening, curled up under a fleece blanket, with tea I barely touched. Over 300 reactions, 70 comments, 15 DMs. Some were from extended family, second cousins, aunts I hadn't spoken to in months. Wait, you weren't invited? This can't be right. I thought you were traveling. I had no idea. A few old high school friends messaged me privately. That post hit hard. I've been there. Proud of you for speaking up. And then came the backlash. From the usual suspects. Dad, you're making a mistake. Take that post down now. We can talk about this privately. I laughed out loud when I read it. Privately. That was always their favorite word. Let's not cause a scene. Let's deal with this behind closed doors, where they could spin the story, where they could guilt me into silence, where their shame didn't have to breathe in public. Not anymore. I didn't reply. Instead, I bundled up and went outside. Snow was falling in slow, quiet flakes, blanketing everything in stillness. I walked the resort trail, boots crunching in the silence, letting the cold kiss my skin and clear my mind. My chest felt both heavy and light. Heavy because this hurt. There was no denying that. But light because for the first time, I wasn't carrying the weight of their version of the story. I had told mine. When I came back to my room, the post had exploded. Comments from people I hadn't spoken to in years. One cousin even commented publicly, "I had no idea you weren't there. That's messed up. You should have been invited." Another one replied under it, "Wait, why didn't her parents say anything?" It was surreal, watching the facade unravel. All those years of pretending everything was fine because that's what was expected. All those holidays with fake smiles and passive-aggressive jokes at my expense. All those moments I told myself, maybe next year they'll include me. Now the truth was out in the open, and it was spreading like wildfire. My mom called again. I let it ring. Then again. On the third time, I answered. Her voice was tight, brittle like something about to crack. "Why are you doing this?" she asked, almost whispering. "We're family." I exhaled slowly, keeping my voice even. Funny, I didn't feel like family when everyone celebrated without me. She hesitated. "It wasn't our decision. Sarah felt uncomfortable." "She's not family," I said. "I am, and you still chose her over me." She was quiet. I heard her swallow. "You're only upset now because people are finding out," I added. "If no one saw that post, would you have even called?" Silence, and that was my answer. She sighed. "What do you want from us?" I closed my eyes. That question, so simple, so loaded. I wanted a lot of things. An apology, accountability, for my brother to realize what he had done. For someone, anyone, in that room to have said, "Where's she?" But most of all, I wanted them to know that this wasn't just about one party. It was about a lifetime of being pushed to the edge of the frame, of being visible but never seen. "I don't want anything," I said softly. I just wanted the truth out there, and I hung up. That was the last time I spoke to any of them, for a long, long time. Weeks passed. The flurry of notifications died down. The comments slowed. Even the angry texts from my dad and the half-apology calls from my brother stopped coming. They had gone quiet again, but this silence wasn't like the one before. It wasn't cold or dismissive. It was the sound of people retreating when they realized they couldn't control the narrative anymore. And in that quiet, I found something I didn't expect. Peace. I spent more time outside, hiking, reading in cafes, saying yes to random weekend plans with people who made me laugh without making me feel small. I started reconnecting with friends I'd lost touch with, not because of drama, but because I'd been too consumed with chasing crumbs from people who'd never offered me a seat at their table. I didn't just move on, I reclaimed my energy, my time, my self-worth. For years, I had been the girl who bent herself into silence, who made herself smaller so the people around her could feel comfortable. I had convinced myself that family meant tolerating anything, even if it hurt. But here's what I finally learned. Family isn't who gets to hurt you without consequences. Family is who shows up, even when it's inconvenient. A year later, my brother got married. I wasn't invited, and this time I didn't flinch. No tears, no passive scrolling through tagged photos, no wondering if they'd finally come around. I went to Lisbon instead. I spent the weekend walking cobbled streets, eating custard tarts, listening to street music echo off ancient walls. I watched the sunset bleed into the ocean, wine in hand, and I smiled. Not because I'd won, not because I'd proven anything, but because I was finally free from needing to. Back home, I got messages from a few relatives. Some still didn't get it. You really should try to make peace with your family. Life is short, and maybe they were right. Life is short, too short to keep shrinking for people who never notice when you're gone. Too short to beg for space in rooms you helped build. Too short to be the quiet one in your own life. So no, I didn't make peace with them. I made peace with myself. And that's the kind of peace that lasts.